How can you tell if your teeth have been scammed by a scammer? I just found a master. I found a master. Then he told me my fortune. Is this person a liar? How many will he sue you for? Method 1. Determine accuracy and orbit verification. Accuracy of past life determination. What is the track that is aligned with that track? Verify everything beforehand. The previous things must be verified and verified. Antecedents serve two purposes. The accuracy of the variable X is determined by testing. Is your tooth horoscope accurate? This is to make sure he is accurate. 2. Determine whether your destiny is within the scope of algorithm F. For example, some people are not suitable for accurate statistics. Why? You brought it. Your dad and mom didn't tell you your birthday, that's a lie. Then how can you use the iron plate sacred tree? Got it. Just make sure this function is suitable for you. Small a determines the accuracy of variable X. It is to determine the accuracy of your horoscope and the assessment of the iron plate sacred tree. It's like getting engaged. Before the normal desperate process, you need to confirm your birthday. This is the same as what Lao Wang said. Make sure you enter the variable XX. If wrong, everything else is nonsense. Don't you think so? That's the truth. Go and tell people their horoscopes. Your horoscope is wrong. After I fuck you, everything that comes out will be in vain. I'm talking nonsense. Then it's a normal desperate process. I need to come up and ask Songguan. The jargon is called Wasongguan. In other words, through your horoscope. You report this horoscope. Tell me about some important events in your life. If the basic information mentioned is correct. That's right then. That's right. If what you say is not right. That won't work. No need to go any further. So, if these important things such as three-dimensional view are correct, show that the X variable is correct and you can proceed to the next step. Not right. At what time should we correct the inversion? Even to verify some new content. I might even reject you altogether. This is the first time to pass 3 levels. Verify beforehand B to determine whether your destiny is within the coverage of this function of algorithm fx. What's the meaning? That's it. Can this genre solve your problem? On track. That is to verify the previous events. Like destiny fy equals fx. If the accuracy of variable x is determined. Make a prediction using algorithm x. If the prediction results made by the algorithm are accurate, they will all match. That is to say, if the determined birth time cannot be accurately predicted, that means there's something wrong with the algorithm. Or your case is not within the scope of this algorithm. That is to say, you are obviously right. Your birth date and time are correct. But the thing that was pushed out doesn't seem to be the same person as you. What does that mean? You don't fit into this group. Don't care if his name is Ziwei or Chiman. Just change it to another one. This is not allowed. No one's algorithm can cover 100% accuracy. But through the ages, it is impossible for any capable person to only have a relative accuracy. 80 or 90% is the upper limit. For ordinary people, if 8 out of 10 sentences are accurate for you, that's the upper limit. Don't be too greedy. 100 words are absolutely nothing. 80% accurate. In other words, the range covered by the algorithm. There can only be at most 90 people among 100 people. There are still 10 people whom no algorithm can calculate accurately. Cannot be covered within the coverage of the algorithm. It's really not difficult to make accurate predictions. Like I said before, algorithm coverage is common to you personally and then narrow down from commonality to individuality. Say one more thing. Algorithms from masters. Accuracy can be high. Self-study can only be used as a hobby, and if you show it to others, it will harm others and yourself. That is, from 9 years later to before the 90s. The entire Yishuai is in a state of complete suppression. 2 whole generations have been lost, and the gap in inheritance is too big. Much of what was newly taught orally has not been handed down. The notes of predecessors can show very limited. Calculations in ancient books often have major flaws. The social environment of ancient book societies in the Ming and Qing dynasties and even before that. The theoretical framework is relatively simple. The ancient text is separated by another layer of paper. There is another level of learning through self-study from ancient books or pirated videos on the internet. Undoubtedly a foolish dream. The accuracy can be half to half. It's better to toss a coin. There is no password in one sentence. You can't get through the door. 2. I tell my students all the time. This business is a vast knowledge. Lifelong learning process. Not enough calendar. Do it forever. It's only worth $100. You let others know that your knowledge and experience must exceed theirs. Able to accommodate them. Tolerate them. Cultivation other than the content of spells. Society. Psychological. Politics. Philosophy of history. Math. Physics. Economy. You need to have a broad understanding of culture, etc. In-depth study. This is the personal part of practice. If you have thin eyelids, you will only be a tool for the rest of your life. And it's a tool that's not easy to use at the human level. I trained an OAI and eliminated it for you. It depends on how well he speaks in the content areas he usually pays attention to. We can roughly judge the level of Mr. I highly agree with this. That's why I told him that if this fortune teller is not as good as you, if he can't figure it out, just find a rural aunt. No matter how awesome he is, he draws the lottery. He can't predict my fate. This is the fate of people like me. How can he calculate accurately? Damn, how many things have I built walking around? That's what people say. My fucking map has far surpassed him and the sign he carries on his body. He might be pretty cool in that county. Why? All 10 miles and 8 villages were suppressed. But you fucking come within this scope of your whole world. His claws are numb. So I went to a fortune teller. This master must be better than you. If he is not as good as you, just stop looking for him. 4. Practice. If not as good as you. If you ask him, I will say one more thing. Why don't you look at what you're asking? For example, if you ask him about listed companies, stop looking for him. Because he is a real publisher and he doesn't know how to do it. For example, if you want to get to know him, ask him about picking up girls. I said, he can figure this out. He can understand this. You said this doesn't require much knowledge. He can sense this. We're serious. 4. Practice is the only criterion for testing truth. Even if you can't make rational judgments, just watch what he listens to. Just read and listen to his letter. Has his emotional energy in your life gotten better or worse? It's you who has been following this gentleman since. You are better. You're still worse. This is not only in judging the role of metaphysics. Effective in almost every way. Everyone and everything are the same. You ignore this common sense. This is a basic common sense. It's great that we need to talk about it often. Just like when I started, that buddy was going to find Jiang Lingchuan. Ask if it's the same as getting divorced. Just you and your wife. If you live this life fighting and entangled all day long. Fuck. I'm so angry. Fuck. That blood pressure is getting higher and higher. And you don't have to do the math. Get a divorce as soon as possible. Please be quiet. If you two were so old, you would hold hands when walking. Do you think you are such a good couple? It's just that there's no need to calculate it. Just better. It's still worse. That's right, okay. Second. How to improve the role of hard work in life. Why? Do you see how deep this is? It's you who got the destiny book. How to use the calculation results after you get them. That is, if you follow our calculations. I will tell you about it on Lao Wang's channel. It's like fortune telling, just like weather forecast. After you get the weather forecast, how do you know your life? If you get the fucking weather forecast, just fall asleep at home. Then you don't have to get the weather forecast. If you go out to climb mountains, you have to go to the sea when you go out. Then you need to check the weather forecast. So how do you guide your behavior? You clarify your needs. Before you start telling fortunes, you need to understand what your purpose is. Mood, emotion, interpersonal relationships, cognition. Choose practical skills. Resist risks. Still need to gain more knowledge. Increase luck. It will be more efficient if you have clear needs and then ask. It won't be effective if you are aimless. It's nothing, don't forget it. This is our summary. I always mention it. It's just that you're fine. Don't tell fortunes. It's not necessary. That means you don't go out. What the hell weather forecast are you looking for? Got it. In other words, if you say you go out, you will drive to and from get off work. You don't have to look at the weather forecast either. That tornado blew away your car. The flood will drown you. The probability is too small. But what if you say you go out to sea to fish? You must read the weather forecast. 2. Operability. If the other party's interpretation is full of professional terms and jargon, it cannot be explained in a simple and thorough way, it is confusing and mindless. Then there is no action for you. There is no way to talk about the role of guidance. That means you have to ask him to explain it clearly to you and tell you what to do. It's your business whether you listen or not. But he must make it clear. This is what I said. I often sum up that truth is one sentence. I can explain it clearly. The more he talks, the more he becomes. The more you talk, the more trouble you get. The more you talk about it, the more complicated it becomes. That's not called truth. 3. We need to know what we need to know about a certain technology. Society now has very strong distinctions. It is almost impossible to determine the horoscope of a person of the same gender. There are basically thousands of people in China. Tens of thousands of people. Even if these thousands of people follow the lessons of ironclad magic, there are at least hundreds of Chinese people who have exactly the same destiny in iron plate magic. But it's impossible for their lives to be exactly the same. This is why we talk about calculating before and after calculating. Maybe it's because the front part of destiny technique is less discrete. The later discreteness is higher. The destiny book of the iron plate divine book is also a human being. It's also written by people. The inevitable conclusion has limitations of the times. For example, the same destiny book. There must be changes in the 6 relatives. There were 5 or 6 brothers and sisters in ancient times. Modern only children abound. All fortune-telling patterns. Arithmetic technology has 2 levels, qualitative and quantitative, one to the qualitative heart. Don't be too obsessed with quantitative things. We must grasp the things that remain unchanged. See clearly the trend of our destiny, rather than entangled on small details. The premise of the brackets is to aim at the ghost orbit. You only need to enter it correctly. Latte's destiny will pass without worrying. We need to know what our own nature is, what are its advantages and disadvantages. One's own essence has character traits, ability characteristics. How to beg a financial officer, how to maintain physical and mental health. How to improve family relations and social relations. The unfavorable person is the direction of things. Time. What are the disadvantages of industry-wide information?